Still being a little bit developed. So anyway, in the page of the agenda for Vision Frame, before we get into it real quick, there are those 4 lines right there. Write this down after mission. After the mission word, write this down. Mission statement is what people hear. Who needs pens? We're going to make sure you get a pen. Mission statement. It's what people hear. They hear a mission statement. That's what generally we'll see on the banners, taglines, anything like that. They're going to hear a mission statement. They're going to, and that mission statement that they're going to hear is that we exist by, like we're about inviting people to experience and share the astonishing hope of Jesus. That's what we exist for. That's our mission. Our mission for the entire world is that we want to invite people to experience and then share the astonishing hope of Jesus. And you'll hear that every so often. But I want you to understand something about a vision frame. I want you to picture a frame that's a square frame. And every church in America has a vision frame. A majority of churches in America don't even know they have one. But they have one. And the reason is because in a frame, you're going to have mission, you're going to have strategies, you're going to have values, and you're going to have outcomes. Those are your 4 areas that make up your vision frame as a church. Every church has one. They'll either have it printed or they'll be doing it. But here's the key. Most churches in America, guaranteed, most churches in America, you couldn't walk in and say to somebody, hey, what is your vision frame? They wouldn't even know the phrase vision frame. But they have one because they have a mission statement. Some people, it's simple. To know Jesus and make him known. Okay, there's your mission. Some people's mission are to love God and love people. You've seen that one somewhere. That's a mission. To make fully devoted followers of Jesus. Okay, there's your mission. They have a mission. They may not be doing it, but they have a mission. Then every single church in America also has values and strategies on the side, values and strategies. They'll have them. They may not be able to tell you what they are, but they got them. Because guess what? Sunday morning is a strategy. You just went to strategy. You went to one of them anyway. You went to a strategy. A strategy is what you do to get to your mission. And then they'll have values. I will assure you, every church has values. Some of the values inside the church are, don't rock the boat. Leave my area alone. That's a value. Some churches have values like that. Don't mess with my area. Advertise my area only. That's a value. So every church has a value. They may not know it. They may not have it written down, but they have a value. And then every single church has outcomes. Whether or not they have them written down, they have an outcome. They want people to do something. They need people to go somewhere. They have to, or you don't really exist. Now, I served in a church where the ultimate goal, the outcome was win somebody to Jesus Christ, get them baptized, plug them into a group. Success, done. Whoop, all finished. That's your goal. That was an outcome. Had no idea what that community group was going to do with them, but just get them into a group. There, you're done. So you have outcomes. What happens with Mountain View Bible Church, because God graciously put somebody in our pathway, the vice president of Exano, I just happened to be on their website, asked for their emails. They sent me an email back. This vice president goes, hey, Darren, I'd love to talk to you. Is there anything you can help me with? We can help you with? I said, oh, Clint, you can help us with everything. We're a brand new church, but we can't afford anything. So there's actually nothing you can help me with. And he's like, how about a free phone call? So we had a free phone call a few years ago. That lasted an hour and a half. And he's like, I'm looking at your website. I'm looking at stuff. Hey, you're right there. You just need a little more clarity, and you need to know where you're going to go. He goes, let me ask you a question. What is a person going to become after a year in your church? I said, I don't know. He's like, you're right. We don't have any goals yet, but now we have a goal. So we have a vision frame, and every church has this vision frame. So we have our mission, which is something people hear. Now listen to this part. The second one is values. Values is what people feel. Values are what they feel. Did anybody notice the family sitting about where Rosalie is sitting? Did anybody notice that whole family? There was an older couple with kids, and then another couple of adults. They were sitting right there. So just so you guys know, we did pretty good today. We didn't lose. We didn't go down or anything. We got pretty good with talking to them, but probably only a few of us went and talked to them during greeting time. Okay, here comes your admonishment from your pastor. We need to turn that game up. I'm going to be a little, just don't take this super harsh. I would rather you not talk to each other as much during the greeting, but find the guests that you don't know. Then that way they get overloaded with guests. But this is what their words were. This place feels warm. It feels inviting. And this is what the guy said. Everybody likes each other here. Okay, I'm going to show you that that's a value in just a little bit, okay, when we get there. But that's what they feel. People are going to hear your mission statement, but they're going to feel your values. They're going to feel it because they're going to be around it, and they're going to feel the values. And then the third frame is this, strategies. Strategies is where people go. Or you could say what they do, but it's a strategy is where they go. We're going to lead them to a strategy. We want to move them towards something that gets them to another pathway. Here's the last part, outcomes. What they or we become. So here it is. Mission is what people hear. Values are what people feel. Strategies are where they go. Outcomes, what we become, what they become. We want them to become the outcomes that we have in our church. So, picking on Isaac and Hannah down here in the front table right here. Hi, Isaac. Hi, Hannah. Everybody right here. This is Isaac and Hannah. Let's do a little quick story for Isaac and Hannah. Isaac and Hannah graduated from Whitefield High School. Have a little house right down the street here. Not really into church, not much in church at all. And then something started prompting them about, we got a daughter, we probably should be thinking some more about this. They happen to have an aunt in Texas who starts doing a Zoom with them every week and starts talking them through stuff in the Bible. Whenever she gets to a certain part in the study, she says, we need to find you a church. So for a while, Isaac and Hannah on Sundays would watch online churches in the area. And then this aunt would get back on Zoom and she said, what do you think? And they told me that said, we didn't understand that one. We didn't understand that one. We read that, we didn't understand that guy. We didn't understand that. She goes, here's one. She sent them Mountain View Bible Church. They got on the website, watched the online service. They meet back up with her. They go, we understand that. That guy we can understand. She goes, okay, you need to try them. They tried it last Easter, or this year Easter, and have been coming ever since. God has saved them, given them a new life. They're a young married couple. Here's the deal. They hear about inviting them to experience and share the astonishing hope of Jesus. They actually felt our values when they first came. The strategies is where they are in now, and where they're going to become is an outcome. Now, with that in mind, the vision frame, take a look at this sheet of paper really quick right here. Take a look at this one. This is a 2-page, front and back page, piece of paper. And it announces our vision frame. It has our mission, our values, our strategies, and our outcomes. It has all 4 on the front page. This back page has them going into detail. Time is not going to allow us to read all of the 7 questions or the 7 statements underneath the 4 questions of the umbrella. Yes, sir. Everybody have this? Does everybody have this one? Only Rosalie's left out of it? Here she's one. It's up here. Okay. All right. So here it is. You have your mission, your values, your strategies, and your outcome. Every single thing in the church needs to be heading for the front page, the one with all of this here. It needs to be inside of something like this. Everything needs to be operational there. The outcomes that are on the back, are the 4 questions that we want people to know, the 4L life. We want people to be able to say, I am learning from Jesus. I am living in Jesus. I'm loving through Jesus. I'm leading to Jesus. You know, that don't make any sense when you first read it. I mean, you can get an idea, but there's nowhere to go with that. So if Isaac and Hannah were new to the church and they were to say, 4 questions am I learning from, living in, loving through, leading to, and they've never been to church before, they aren't going to know necessarily what that means, are they? So we go into 7 statements underneath those. The 7 statements underneath those then start to give you some direction for where we want people to come. So check this out. Just take a look really quick. Let me show you something really fast. Am I learning from Jesus? Watch this. Underneath that is a statement. I set aside daily time to study the Bible and memorize scripture. What if every person attending Mountain View said, that's very true of me? What do you think that would look like? That would look like a group of people who know the Bible, have it memorized, are quoting it, and I'm going to tell you the secret behind memorization of the Bible is people who are not tripped up so much by sinful behaviors and things that mess our world up. It just wouldn't happen. But do we have a strategy that teaches anybody that? No. Oh, well, we've got Bible studies listed from here till Jesus returns, but none of them really push you to do this. Do you see now where it starts to go a little different? Now it starts to move this direction. Here's another one. I actively listen for God's voice to seek his direction. Okay, well, the only way you would really learn that is inside of a community group with a leader who knows how to teach people. Let's listen. Let's find a way to be listening to God's voice and what he's wanting to know, what he's wanting to teach me in my life. Okay, check this one out. Go to the next one over. Am I living in Jesus? I go to the Bible to find answers before I go to other sources. What would it look like if every single person in Mountain View said, I rely on the Bible to get my answers to questions in life instead of you fill in the blank? YouTube Shorts, TikTok, multimedia, the latest, greatest guy that's got a podcast. Those were my go-to guys. And he gave me an answer. And somebody walks up to me the other day, had an answer for something in life. And I'm like, man, where did you hear that? Because that isn't anywhere near the scriptures. So watch that. Watch this one. Go down to statement number 3 under living in Jesus. I find myself filling my life with more and more personal worship throughout my week. Instead of just a regulated time on a Sunday morning, what if there was some time in life that as I'm driving or I'm by myself, I turn on some praise music, I focus on God the way I would focus if I was in worship. You'd have a different individual on your hands. But you need strategies to show people how to get to this part. Do you see what I'm saying? So what happens is a lot of churches will have this idea here, but they'll have nowhere to get there. And if that happens, it's stuck. All right? So there's your vision frame. Now, the part that you're all really dying to know, Bill, do you remember that thing we were making with the strings? I think it is on my desk. Everything you're dying to know is this organizational chart right here. So pull this one out. It's got a bunch of circles on it. Dark colors, rust colors. This part, so the first stage you just looked at, the vision frame, is giving us our guidance and our direction. This organizational chart tells you who does what. Who does what? Now, most churches really get hyped on this right here, the organizational structure, because it's good to know who does what, how do you communicate to who, where do I get my answers, and all that sort of thing. But I will assure you, if you live by this alone, right here, if this becomes your ultimate guide, all this is going to do is make you a well-oiled machine. And if the vision frame isn't what you're after, you're just going to have a really good organized club. But this is necessary because it gives really responsibility and accountability. It tells you where people are on the org chart. Here's something about the organizational chart. It's a fractal versus top down. So it communicates inward to outward. That's why we chose the fractal part. The fractal part is something that starts on the internal part of us, and then thank you, sir. It starts on the internal part of us and works our way out. Rather than just a whole big old huge top thing down, It would work top and down, but this one works really well inside of this. So you need to realize inside this fractal chart, there are several things that go beyond the rust-colored circles. Let me do a couple examples. Go onto your org chart, go to the left down to the big maroon circle. It says Worship Live. Worship Live is not just Sunday morning. If you're taking any kind of notes, Worship Live, put this in there. Worship Live is any event that is open to everyone, men or women, or both, any event that has any communication to the Word. Because music isn't always needed at worship. Music is a great thing to have, but it's not always needed. Men's breakfast, we don't do worship at men's breakfast, but it is a large event that is open to every guy in the church. So it's a large event. But there, the Word of God is there, and it's presented, so it's a worship time. We think worship has to do with music. Worship doesn't always have to deal with music. Worship can actually be in the Word, learning the Word, responding to the Word. Does that make sense? You all right with that? So therefore, a large event is men's breakfast. I'll shoot men's breakfast out of that circle. Out men's breakfast. Women's tea, the 3 or 4 times or 2 times, is it 2 times a year? Two times a year. So the women's tea is a large event. It would shoot off of large events. So if we have a big event somewhere inside the church, that's a large event. But also, Worship Live needs the tech and sound, and you need the praise team to have for the Sunday morning. Kids ministry operates inside of Sunday morning, so therefore they're going to be in the Worship Live because every kid is available to come to that. Every kid's open to that invitation to all kids, and they're going to hear the Word. They're going to hear the Bible. So that's why it is a Worship Live event. Does that make sense? Now, if you go a little bit to the right, you will have community groups. Community groups then are built into 4 different areas. There's core classes, men's groups, women's groups, co-ed groups. And a group is defined, literally everyone listen to me carefully. A group is really any form and any size. Any form and any size. A group can actually be 3 guys getting together, learning the Word. A group can be 3 women getting together. 2 women getting together is actually a group. I mean, it's probably 2 people, but you know, you get the impression you want to get to a part that is 2 to 3 people or 4, and they're together. You can also be an entire group that is all of couples, co-eds. It's just groups of any form and any size. That's where community groups take place. That's probably right now where we're really, really anemic, and our weakness at Mountain View Bible Church is inside a community group. Several reasons why. Can't get into them today, but finding leaders and finding people who will have the mentality to attend a community group and contribute to its growth. Because somewhere along the line, I think the enemy that we don't see, Satan, has convinced us all. He's given us an invoice that we're all too busy to be in community group. We've all signed off on it, paid for it, and we're so busy that we tell ourselves, I can't get into a community group. And so we've fallen into this lie. But one of the things that we have to do as a church is try to combat that by getting people into groups. And we'll create groups of all different various forms and sizes. You'll see it at the very end. The next one is up around the corner is serving teams. So you can see now serving teams have 4 areas at the moment. They may expand. But community engagements, those are big, huge 4 major ones that we do every year. One of those is that tailgate party. This last year, 450 some people. A couple came the next day after church. They got saved the next day. They got baptized in a couple of weeks. And immediately after they were saved and baptized, their world, the Satan came at them in their world, and their world is upside down. And they haven't been here in 2 weeks. I still talk to them. I told them, your real life is starting to begin right now. And your enemy is you're on his radar. And they are experiencing every single thing with this new decision to follow Christ. But that community engagement gave them the pathway into Worship Live. So, but community engagements only happen with serve teams. Salvation Army is something that once we do, we put it on there. Everything building related. There are so many people who serve in building, and there are so many people who serve on a Sunday morning for greeting and connection team. Even though a serving team is the tech and the praise team, but because they're in Worship Live, they're over there for accountability on the structure. Even though they're serve teams, they're just over there because there needs to be a person in front of them. So let me give you let me give you the down the dream version, the dreamy, is that somebody would be the director or leader of Worship Live and have all those areas, those circles, talking to them. Somebody is director of community groups, and all those 4 circles are talking to them. They would meet, those 4 people in the core classes, men's groups, women's groups, and co-ed groups would meet with the director of community groups and have their team. Somebody in serve teams, community engagement, Salvation Army, everything building related, greeting, would all meet with the serving teams director. Over to the side that doesn't come out of a maroon circle are things like community and an admin, because they serve everything in the church. And security and safety and security is everywhere. It's in all events. So it doesn't really fall under one particular category. It answers to all of them. So therefore, those 3 come straight into the pastoral staff and elders. Okay, do you see this? Do you see how this organizational chart is working? Got it? So the carbs from the sandwich is kicking in, making you kind of tired. So these things aren't helping any because these are kind of dazzly or whatever. Let's move on to our next one. Do you have any questions real quick on this? This will continue to develop. Just realize it just keeps going out. But now you'll know where, if you're in here anywhere, you'll know who your director is. And so I want to unfortunately tell you right now, the director of Worship Live is me, the director of community groups is me, and the director of serving teams is me. And we say that in a joking way, but I'm going to say something, and I don't mean it to be rough. We don't have somebody who wants to take on those roles yet with the depth that they need to have in their life. That's going to show up in the next segment. So there are people who would say, I can be in charge of serve teams, but in a conversation may not be where you need to be on the next level. And that's why you couldn't be the director. This document today is also going to give you the idea of where this is going and who I and we, the leaders, are going to be looking for to fill these areas. There are people that will fill these areas, do all right. Once they get really, really focused and we get honed in on what they're to do, there'll be people that'll fill them, but they're going to have to be a certain person with their relationship with Jesus Christ, because remember the backside of the paper of the 4 questions? If you don't care anything about the 4 questions, then how can you lead anybody on the organizational chart? If you could care flippantly less about any of that, then you're not going to take anybody anywhere. You're going to take them your own direction, which who knows where that will be. So this organizational chart now helps us get to this, okay? The fractal is top down, communicates inward, outward. So then really quick, just so if you're writing anything down, the organizational chart reflects the 3 strategies. So it's used to disciple and teach. The organizational chart is a tool to move people towards discipleship and teaching. That's what that part is. That reflects the 3 strategies that is used to disciple and teach. It's also designed to delegate. So therefore, just in that organizational chart as we leave it, get ready. So if right now I am over Worship Live, community groups, and serving teams, but if we find the person over those 3 areas, then that's being delegated to them. And then there's a leader in greeting and connecting, everything building related, Salvation Army, community engagement. There's a leader for all of those. So then as they spin out from there, you'll have a leader there and then a leader back to your serve teams. So that's how it is designed for it to be able to be given out in delegation. Got it? Good? Okay. Let's do this now. In your notes, you have a couple of quick things called, the next page is stages of alignment. Stages of alignment. All right. We have really got to hurry on this because I got a couple things I want to do, get us done. Stages of alignment, here we go. Tim, let's take this one, take one of those. Strings. Bill, why don't you take a string real quick? Mark, why don't you take a string real quick? Take that string. And then, hey, Kiana, come here. You want to take that string? Hey, Malik, Malik, come here real quick. Come here, fast. Here you go, buddy. Come over fast. There you go. Okay. Okay, all of you, go ahead and take that string. Okay, all of you, start pulling in your own direction. It's not going anywhere, is it? Okay, let's do this. If I hold this here, if you all loosen up just a little bit and you swing in that way, you guys swing this way, you guys take a couple steps. Now, if you all start going, a little more, go Malik. Now pull. Now you're headed a direction together, okay? You wanna hang on to that for us for the rest of the day? Okay. All right, so watch this. Stages of alignment come through a couple of different things. This one is really kind of crucial. Here we go. On your stages of alignment piece of paper, this is where the PowerPoint's ready, okay? So on stages of alignment, the first one is this. Leaders and ministry leaders, typically in that very first screen up there, are pulling in different directions. They're pulling in opposing directions. They're going all over the place. That's in the confusion stage. That is actually part of where we have been. Mountain View is actually there because we have back to these ministries that are not really even part of our strategies yet. We got this ministry going here, this ministry going here, this ministry going here, this ministry going here, this ministry going there. They don't really have a purpose, or they don't really know where they belong, so they're headed in all these different directions. And guys, those of you that are new to Mountain View, let's see, Chip and Sandy were at the beginning. Desi and Bill were in the beginning. Ronnie and Lethea were in the beginning. Jason and Nancy in the beginning. Dave and Melanie were in the beginning. You guys came real close. Brandon and Rachel were in the beginning. Terry and Patty were in the beginning. When we first got into this building and we were doing church, I can assure you this is a true phrase. No one, including me, knew exactly what was going on. We had no idea what was happening. We were just happy that we went through a Sunday without too many problems. We had no idea. Then it slowly started getting focused, and this is going to help us get even more focused together. So watch this. Leaders in ministry leaders are pulling in opposing directions. Here's another one. The next one is, when it comes to communication, leaders and ministry areas learn the value of sharing information and keeping dialogue open. We actually don't have a very good system for that. That's about to change. That's going to start turning the corner here in the next month or so. Number 3, leaders and ministries have hard conversations about what to do with programs, ministry initiatives, and people. This is crucial. This is crucial. The reason Rose and I felt I think God calling us to start a church is because I had to have a hard conversation with the place where I was on staff, in which I said, we're not that intentional about discipleship and growing spiritual leaders. And we have too many people in our city who will spend eternity in hell because we don't want to be intentional. We like convenience. We like program. We like things to just run smooth. But that isn't going to bring people who are far from God to God. Isaac and Hannah were not even remotely impressed with any of the ministries. They were impressed by the fact somebody cared for them. They were in a relationship, and God was working on them, and they have a direction to go. That's what makes the change. So intentionality becomes very, very crucial. And when I had that very hard conversation with the group of people that I was on staff with, it did not go well. Mountain View Bible Church was born. Now, I built the ministry built on the premise that there are people who need Jesus Christ, and they are going to spend eternity in hell unless they hear about the message. But if we do not do what it takes to get them that message and grow them, then their eternal destiny is literally on our account. because we didn't tell them. Well, they didn't come to our program. We did all of our programs. We did all kinds of good stuff. They didn't come. I am not going to eternity with that answer. I'm going to eternity with, I wanted to be very intentional with everybody you placed in my care to grow them to where they needed to be. So a hard conversation means a hard conversation about whatever ministry we are in love with. Pastor Terry Sims and I had a hard conversation with each other, not toward each other. We had a hard conversation about an issue. We were doing men's breakfast every third Saturday of the month. We sacrificed a pig every month for the bacon. And when we got done, we were doing a Bible study, and I picked up on the fact that every guy in there either had an idea about the Bible study, knew about the passage. Nobody was learning anything. Everybody was just spouting off about a bunch of things that they already knew. Nope, it was to me, I don't have that many Saturdays left in my life to give that for a bunch of jargon. I don't have that. I want something to be done. So Pastor Terry and I started talking. He says, I agree. Nobody's learning anything here. So we changed men's breakfast to being leadership oriented and doing studies out of the Bible that point you to be a leader. Is that going to make any difference in some of those guys' lives? Nope. Some of the guys' lives, men's breakfast, it just means I get together once a month with a bunch of guys, have some bacon, eggs, great pancakes. I can go home, and that's the end of the game. But somebody in there will catch a glimpse of like, you know what? I need to become a spiritual leader. That's the intentional part of what we want to do. So you have to have hard conversations. I'm going to tell you something else. Don't lose your mind on this statement. But Craig Kershell, who has 25 churches in Life Church in America. They're the big network. They do video thing. He says this phrase: whatever you're doing now as a church and one of your strategies, if you're doing that in 24 months from now, you're going to be irrelevant. Everybody, you're half asleep and you just said, oh my gosh, we got to change everything we do in 24 months. He's basically saying this: go ahead. You stay on the same pathway all the time. And whenever the rest of the church, when the rest of the world is focusing on different things and getting communicated in a different way, you'll be as irrelevant as you possibly can. And how many churches are irrelevant today because they're not even thinking about what's going on in their community? A couple months ago, Rose and I visited her home church that her dad had been a pastor of for years. He's passed away now. That church we went back to because of a big anniversary. Rosalie could tell you, I don't even really recognize it. It's so irrelevant in its society. People in the little town of Ashland, Ohio hardly even know it exists. It's not intentional about anything because they aren't going to have a hard conversation about we need to do something different. All right, so keep that going. Here we are. Number 3, coordination is hard conversations. The last one. Leaders and ministry areas have shifted their paradigm to begin leading from a missional missional vision rather than individual goals. This is crucial. When everybody gets together and realizes that I am leading a ministry toward a missional value, something that I want to have accomplished, learning, living, loving, leading, values that we have inside of that, when that takes place, you're going to start seeing everybody moving with collaboration forward. Everybody got that? Because we need to go to the next page pretty quick. I'm ticking down. Everybody got this one? You ready? Okay, here we go. Alignment through modification. This one doesn't have a PowerPoint to it. I just want to show you something. Alignment through modification. So now if we all agree we wanted to go a forward direction, if we all wanted to head a same direction, then we might need to start looking at our different ministries. So we would put in the ministry column all the way over, we would write down a ministry. So I'm going to put my Thursday night group. I have a Thursday night men's group. So we're going to put down Pastor's Thursday night men's group all the way over to the side. Okay, what we're going to do is we're going to ask a question. Is it pushing toward is it using our values, getting everybody to the outcomes? I think the guys in the group would probably say it's doing all right. Probably could use some more intentionality, but it is hitting something. So we would say, does that need to be catapult combined with something else? Does it need to contribute to something? Does it need to be caged? Or does it need to be cut? So you see it on your sheet of paper there. So if it's something that's working, maybe we need to make an expansion out of it, which I'm trying to do with the guys. I find leaders will create more groups with more guys, and then it's being catapulted. It's out there. It's moving forward. So you could put any ministry on the left. We would work on that. We can't do that today. I just want to show you the part of it. So for an example, let's go to combine. Or is this a ministry that's moving along? It's doing pretty good, but maybe it needs to be combined with another ministry that's happening because it can merge together. Okay, that might happen. We might be able to put down something else inside of all of our ministries. Contribute. Here's one. Could this contribute this to something inside of the strategies? Let's do this one. I've watched closely over the women's tea. We have 2 of them. Okay, so the women's tea is not getting women together 2 times a year and doing discipleship. It's not a community group. It's a worship live event, but it has some words to it. It has some of the Bible to it. But it's not a serving team, so it's not really, so actually it's kind of in an area of strategy. Is it really a strategy of ours? It's not really doing the discipleship part. It's not really doing, but check this out. Every time they do that tea, they'll have ladies from the community who don't go to church here or don't go to church at all. That means that ministry has a chance then to contribute to another pathway, such as maybe women come to the tea, find their way into a community group. Or maybe the women come to a tea and find their way on a serving team. Now we have it's contributing moving forward. Do you see that? That's the same way with any Bible study. That's the same way with any ministry we might be doing. And we've got to probably bring our ministries in together and find out what they're actually doing. That's another day, another time, and definitely not one that we're going to do after lunch. Okay? Got it? Any questions on that? I think we're going to actually get pretty close. We might actually get done. Here we go. So the stages of alignment through modification, that is something that's going to be coming later. We'll see how all of that fits together. By the way, just so you don't get scared, if there's a particular ministry happening, no ministries need to get cut. They might need to be modified to move toward our strategies, which is worship live, community groups, and serving teams. Number 3, this one will go fast, and number 4 will almost be like a blip on your screen. Number 3 is kind of crucial. So, leader expectations. You can find the organizational chart strategy leader expectations in your folder there. It has 10 statements with the last one being 3 question marks. This is the part about on the agenda part that you want to fill in. Biggest obstacle for the church: finding willing leaders who have the spiritual depth. Biggest obstacle for the church: finding willing leaders who have spiritual depth. I'm going to say something, and you can put this down if you want. Some leaders will lead if they can go their personal direction. And if I pick up on that before they're ever leading, they won't make it to the leadership start block. There's no point in that. You're gonna go back to the thing that Malik has. You're gonna pull it in different directions. It doesn't help. It doesn't help you. You have to go in the direction. So I've had people meet me and tell me, I need to do this in leadership. And I've listened to them, and I'm realizing, you be taking everybody that way when we're all headed that way. So it's not gonna happen. So, biggest obstacle for churches is to find willing leaders. Number 2, leaders must understand and agree with the vision frame. If you're not going the same direction, you're just gonna burn up resources with no results. Because it's not going to happen. It's just not going to be there. So underneath that phrase somewhere, if you wanted to, if you're not going the same direction, you'll just burn up resources with no results. Okay, last one on the leadership expectations, and then we're going to hit the sheet of paper. Influence is leadership. Listen to me carefully. Influence is leadership. Now, erase from your mind social media influence. Get that out of your head. I'm not talking about that one. I'm talking simply influencing another individual. Influence is leadership. Watch this. This week I was talking to and this is going to be my illustration, and everybody's going to be like, yeah, well, you have to do this. Okay, we'll use it for me though. I was talking to this group of people. This business guy had me come in and just sort of talk to a few of his employees. They found out I'm a pastor, so when one of them gets done, whenever the meeting kind of got done, one of them started talking to me. He goes, man, we've been like looking for a church, and man, when we go, it's just all kinds of stuff. And I said, well, we're straight from the Word of God. And I said, and the reason I like the church I attend is I'm also the pastor, but we are after the Word and we're after the truth. I said, and it is so friendly. It is so warm. Okay, I just influenced him one way or the other. He may not take my influence, but I just influenced him. I just told him something. I gave him an influence. If I would have said, we're kind of small, struggling, just getting started, I would have influenced him. Do you see influence is leadership? So let me tell you something. Every single time your mouth opens and words proceed out of your mouth about anything inside Mountain View Bible Church, you have just influenced the hearer or hearers. You just influenced them. Watch this phrase. You've been there, haven't you? You're at an event. You're at a big event. And everybody's like, oh, what's going on? And you say, I don't like. And the person who hears that immediately is like, yeah, I don't like it either. You've seen it. You might have even followed it. Did you see how it influence? The moment you say, I really like that. The person starts going, oh yeah, I do too. Your influence. Influence is leadership. So therefore, if you would take out this piece of paper that says organizational chart, strategy, and leader expectations, this is really hard to do, by the way, and we're going to be done after this, and that because the discipleship pathway is something you can take with you. This one is hard because I am a non-confrontive person. I wish I was. I worked for a guy in Medina, Ohio, where I literally believed this guy lived every day as the pastor. All he wanted to do was find somebody he could confront in the church. Oh my goodness. He just confronted all the time. I was in the office with him several times when he would call me into the office because my office was next to him. And I was the youth pastor associate. He'd say, Darren, I need you in this meeting. We'd go in there, we'd sit down, and I had absolutely no idea what we were going to talk about. Here comes this person, sits in, talks to him, and he's like, I saw you talking to Dale last week. I want to know what you guys are talking about because I know you have a problem with me. Were you guys talking about me? And I'm like, I'm sitting in my chair, and I was young. I was like a young youth pastor, and I just froze. I was like, okay. He just wanted to be confrontive. Now, his confrontation destroyed anybody's excitement, morals, about morality, the morale of being energetically being there. Nobody really wanted to be there. They were just waiting him out. I wish I had a little more confrontiveness, but I don't. But I am going to tell you this. The leaders at Mountain View have to come to this point of view, or we're just wasting time, and it just makes the thing look. So watch it out. Watch this. Number one, a leader needs to be a believer in Jesus Christ for eternal life and a member of MVBC. I know that seems a little bit odd, but there are people who don't know that answer. Yet in their life, you can't let them lead somewhere if they don't even know that answer. Number two, they really need to understand and support in words and actions the mission, vision, strategies, and outcomes. That's that piece of paper you got there. They really need to be able to do that. If they're not, what would be the purpose of being there? You're just going to take them in another direction. Number three, financially supporting MVBC. I do not know what anyone gives. I don't want to know what anyone gives. And I also know that in our day and age, in our society we're at, sometimes it's very tough to do that, to give. But I'm going to ask you, I'm going to tell you something. Pick something. I don't care if it's a few dollars. Start making a commitment before God and saying, I'll give something to the church. When you start to find out that you could just a few dollars, I give that, God starts putting your heart into the church. If that doesn't happen, here's what could happen. If someone says, I'm not giving anything to this church, I don't really care about it, I'm just here for my pet project. If I would have passed away with that heart issue a few months ago and been gone. And you'll hear this in January. The church would have been struggling to find another pastor financially. It wouldn't be able to pay another pastor to come. I basically raised more than half my salary. So it couldn't have found another pastor. There's a high chance it could have gone away. And if somebody's not giving financially, they'll be like, okay, so I'll just go to the next one. But if you do something inside the congregation, it's like, I want to help this thing get somewhere. I want to help it get healthy and strong. Then you're all of a sudden, you're there and your mission and your vision, they're part of where I want to be a part of this. I want it to grow. I got 2 minutes. We got to go. We're going to be done. Number 4 is a desire to pursue the 4L life. Just back to those 4 questions. I'll give you a challenge. 1 time a day. Okay, I'll take that back. Every other day. Because you're going to be told you don't have enough time. Every other day, read the statements. Every other day. Just read them. And think about what it would be like as if you could say, that's true of me all the time. That's true of me all the time. It'll really change how you think about things here. Okay, number 5, participating in discipleship pathway and completing the 4 core classes. If you want to be a leader on the org chart, eventually, this isn't going to happen overnight, like, hey, here's a deadline, there it is. It's just, can we move towards this? Some people say, I've heard this saying, the 4 core classes are boring. They're not in there. Okay, I have been to some Bible studies that we pay $19.99 for the book, and the thing is drier than the Sahara Desert. And you know who wrote those? Somebody in LA or Chicago that wrote them at the same time today that you're experiencing the carb overload. They just went to lunch with somebody, and they ate a big old huge Cuban sandwich, and they came back, and their officer like, I got a deadline. I got to get some questions down. And they threw a bunch of questions down, ran into the printer, and they aired it out there. And then you're buying it off the shelf going, oh, cool, look at this, because it's from somebody that I know. And you can do the Bible studies, by the way. You can. They're perfectly fine. The 4 core classes, you're right. You're right. They are not like this. They don't got all the sprinkles and all the dazzles. It does have really, really good content. It's got deep content. It's got content that I am telling you will help you in ways. It's good. And I think I have that at the very end. I'll touch that. Here we go. Verse 6. Number 6, value conversations that take courage to have when they need to happen. I need to get better at that. That's really hard for me. Number 7, receive suggestions and observations with grace and humility rather than a defensive tone. When Bill Moritz tells me, D, your messages need a little depth. They need a little something to them. You know, I'm growing here. I need a little more. Then I need to be able to take that with grace and humility. He's never said that, by the way. Just using him as an example. Number 8, communicate with kindness and humility, preferring the other person above yourself. There are times when you have to have this conversation like, hey, we need to do this differently, but you want to communicate it with a way that really values the other person and they know that they're valued. Number 9, a heart to know Jesus intimately and to share that knowledge with others. This is the goal I want to see us go to. If you're not doing this, but you're leading an area of ministry, you don't quit tomorrow. I mean, you don't have to quit tomorrow, but just move towards this. Start thinking about how can I move towards this. And hey, if you don't like any of these things, tell me. Let's have a conversation. Hey, that doesn't need to be on there. Like 5 of those don't need to be on there. We'll have a conversation. I don't know how the conversation will end, but we will have a conversation. Lastly is this, discipleship pathway content, number 4, is our last thing we're going to do. It is a mentality. It needs to come naturally. Put that on your notes. It's a mentality that needs to come naturally. Number 1, it's a mentality that needs to come naturally. I want you to get this second one too. It serves as a guide. It's not the goal. It serves as a guide. It's not the goal. Put this on the blank line. The goal is to move forward spiritually. The goal is to move forward spiritually. The 4L life will help you evaluate that. It should be very common phrase in your life. 6 months ago, I thought this way. Now I think this. 6 months ago, I struggled with this. Now I don't. 6 months ago, I was this way. Now I'm this way. Moving forward is spiritually. It needs to be a common phrase among us. Move people to the word. It's serving as a guide. It's not the goal. The goal is to move people forward spiritually. It is to move people to the word. That's what the discipleship pathway. Lastly, knowledge creates the pathway to growth. Knowledge creates a pathway to growth. You will grow when you have more knowledge. You will grow when you have more understanding of the truth and in the knowledge. Okay. Guys, we went 2 minutes past, but I'm going to tell you this thing right here. You can take this with you. Please understand that this last page is a work in progress. The reason there's so many question marks on it is because I'm not 100% sure we will leave these words on there. But think of the discipleship pathway as 5 stages that somebody is going to go through in life. So last January, this year, Isaac and Hannah were in the very first stage, seeking. They were not yet a believer. They were asking questions, attending some events possibly, but they had no connection to Jesus. Now they're in stage 2. They're a new convert or people that are reconnecting to the church. They have a desire to learn the basics of Christianity, the basics of the Bible. We're going to try to move them towards a community group of learning. So we should be having community group leaders who will say, I'll take new believers with me, and I'll start teaching them what I know. And remember, that group could be another couple, another person. Doesn't have to be a certain number of group. The third stage is like growing, and I do not know why the computer decided to change 3 to 1. I have no idea why it did that. But growing should be number 3. That's the next stages. And then developing is another stage. And then 5 is multiplying, where you're leading the organization. But in developing, you're leading a community group, or you're helping lead a community group, or if you're in the growing stage, you're showing a desire to grow, and you want to be a part of something that is making a difference in somebody else's life. Take that with you. That is still being developed, and it keeps being developed. But I want it to be intentional. So Jerry came to Christ. Isaac and Hannah came to Christ. Jerry came to Christ a few months ago. So I want to be very intentional that throughout the process of his life, he moves through those stages. Here's why. Because we are not done. Mountain View is not done until he knows his spiritual gift and does it on a consistent basis. And if that turns out to be, he has a spiritual gift of teaching, I'm just going to make up something that'll probably scare him to death, but if it's teaching, then he just gets to the point where he learns and stands in front of a crowd and teaches them the word. Then we've accomplished it, especially whenever he can do that to somebody else. In the same way with Isaac and Hannah, we're not done until I already know some of their spiritual gift is in helps, and some of their spiritual gifts is evangelism and in teaching. So whenever they grow to the point where they could actually tell somebody else how to come to Christ and grow them farther, then our job is completed. But we got to have somewhere to go. You got to have a pathway on. You got to know, like, what do I do next? If you don't know what to do next, then you do what most churches do in America. Hey, Isaac and Hannah, just get in here, get in that group, sit down, quiet over there, give some money until we can do our programs. I am not doing that. I'm not doing it. We do have to have money to live. The church has to have it to live. But I am not going to teach somebody to come in, sit down, be quiet, just give so that we can do our programs. I want somebody to move on intentionality. Let's move you somewhere. So all the Bible studies, all the activities, even my group, my Thursday night group, which I like a lot, just to kind of hang out with the guys and talk, it needs to be moving somewhere, taking people on that journey. Do you see what I'm saying? All right, you can wake up and we'll go home. Okay, we're going to do some of these. Hear me out. We're going to do some of these more, and the next stage is going to go church-wide. Okay, but if you are interested in being a part of anything in this, anything at all you have to do is just reach out to me, and we'll start finding out where you need to be, okay? And if you don't have any interest in it, fantastic. I'm just glad you were here. I didn't mean to take up your time, but I'm glad you're here. At least you know now this is where we're headed and where we're going. Will we get there overnight? No. I still expect us to be working on this in fall of 26. It's just the way it is. I will invite you to some smaller group meetings, though, where we will have them periodically at different times, where we're just in a different time of meeting where we're going to go in and hash out some pretty heavy things. But meanwhile, start thinking through this. Try to get your head wrapped around things. Tammy? Yeah. Both. But remember, if you do come to me, I do want you to come to me, but we do need to have a conversation because I need to assess where you are. Here's what I do not want to do. I don't want to put you in a leadership position where you and I are going to have to wrestle each other because I'm going to win. We're going my direction. Bill. You had something in your throat, didn't you? I don't mean physically. The direction that God has called us to go is going to be the direction. So when somebody shows up and says, I want to teach, and I already know that their life is marked with conflict, telling people they're wrong, making people feel belittled or hurt, you're not going to be in that position. Because if I do put you in that position, then you and I are going to a wrestling match and it is going to end badly. So but don't be afraid not to step forward because sometimes the situation, it could be that it's not ready. Other times you could be ready and just need to grow some more. I will assure you, it won't matter how much you know or don't know. It will matter what is going on in your heart. And do I have a heart to follow God? That would be it, Tammy. It would be like more, I have this desire to learn and grow and lead in this area. How could I fit into here? And then in the discussions, if there's a humility and there's this like, I want to help this, yeah, we're going to be going forward. Because the org chart does need to get more developed. If we don't make some changes with that org chart on letting people run things, I'm gonna be done. I'm gonna burn out. It's too much. And we are at a stage in our church right now where we're gonna hold right here until that org chart becomes really effective. We're gonna hold. Because you know the old analogy of spinning the plates? If I'm spinning them, there we're going. So and yet think about all the people who are serving now, and they serve every Sunday, and they're getting tired. That's why we cut our children's to 2 Sundays a month. But I'm telling you, today would have been a great day to have children's church. I would have been able to say some phrases that needed to come out of that passage. I would have read the first 6 verses, but I couldn't do it today. I'm too soft. I'm too soft with kids in the room. Okay. Oh man, 10 minutes. So the next time we get together, I got to give you 10 minutes. Thank you for being here today. You can put it on the sermon, on Sunday's sermon. Thank you for being here today. I appreciate you so much for being here. Try to hear me. It was not designed to be rough. It's designed to move us forward, designed to move forward. You are welcome to be here. I want you here, and we can keep moving our things forward as a church, okay? This isn't the last meeting. The other ones might be in smaller settings, but we'll be definitely having some, okay? Text me, reach out to me. Let me know if you want to be involved. See you. Have a great week.